Morning, YouTube. Sebastian Fortune here. Chronicles continue. It's Saturday morning in Texas. Um, it is pretty sunny today, a bit windy. Um, Today I'm going to go to the Can-Am dealership, and I've been riding old Emerald here for close to a year now. I've enjoyed my time on Emerald, and I'm going to the dealership now to test drive Ryker, the Ryker Rally. I'm not trading Emerald in by any means. I just wanted to compare and contrast the Rikers. I've seen a few of them on the streets, and they seem much more aggressive in the sitting position. So they seem a little bit quicker and nimbler. So that is my goal today, to ride out to the Can-Am dealership and see if they will allow me the opportunity to test ride one of those Ryker rallies, or just a Ryker in general. And hopefully I'll be able to get some footage of that to put it on the channel. So let me stick a pin right here, and then we will resume once I get to the dealer. So I have arrived here at the dealership in North Richland Hills, and I'm about to test ride this Ryker Rally here. It's a 900cc Can-Am. I'm looking forward to my test ride. The owner will come in here in a minute to help me to move it out so I can get it on the streets and see what it feels like. It's much more aggressive sitting, looks much more sporty. It has the two-up passenger seat on the back side, the second passenger seat on the back. There are some other nice machines here. This is the F3. I debated between the F3 Limited and the RT Limited when I purchased Emerald about a year or so ago. Yeah, there is the F3 Limited right here. I like the sitting on the F3 Limited. It's feels more of a not a touring bike, but a cruiser style sitting. The problem I had with it was the wind. There was a little bit more wind than I wanted to experience for long rides and things like that. But you can't go wrong with the F3 Limited or RT Limited. Or even a Riker. It depends on your reason for purchasing the bike.
Back seat? No.
So this is
the... okay, that's an addition. That's an add-on, huh?
So here I have it out now. It's a really nice bike. I've ridden it already to this point where I am filming here, perhaps a few blocks down the road. And the first thing I notice is it's a bit torquey in terms of the throttle application and the response. When I first got on it, the back wheel started spinning out on me, actually fishtailing from left to right. I applied about the same amount of throttle I would on my RT Limited, but it seems a little bit more torquey on this one. There's not a whole lot of bells and whistle. As you can see, the front trunk is not much of anything. Perhaps have enough room for a pound of sugar, a pound of flour in there. Not too much more. Maybe your gloves, your cell phone, sunglasses, a few small items. Of course, you can add saddlebags and a trunk to these things, but it sit much lower much more aggressively. More of like a motorcycle feel. This lever right here is to put it in reverse. You just pull it back with your foot towards you, and that puts it in reverse. Also, this lever right here is the handbrakes, or the emergency brakes, or the parking brake. I should say the parking brake. You just push it down to disengage the brake and pull it up. Um, the You have the same buttons, headlights, indicator, the horn, then the kill switch, and also the start button. The handlebar is adjustable. You could move it forward, you could pull it towards you, move it all the way away from you, put it in the middle somewhere, whatever is most comfortable for you. Of course, the mirrors also are adjustable as well. Um, really, nice bike. I am about to get back on it and get on the road, get on the highway maybe, and see what it feels like. I'm sorry for the sound of the motorcycle. For whatever reason, during the recording, the camera didn't record some of the actual bike sound itself for a little bit of time. So I wanted to compare and contrast the RT Limited with the Riker, but there's really not much of a comparison between the two. The RT Limited, after having driven the Riker, they're for two different types of experience, and I will, talk a little bit more about that as I continue. So the first thing, like I mentioned earlier, that I feel is it feels a little torquey. It's a fully automatic bike, and then once you disengage the parking brake and you pull back on the throttle, there's a little bit of a hesitation before it engages. And I suspect because it's fully automatic, there's like a neutral type area, and then you have to really pull back on the throttle a little bit to indicate that you want to move forward. And then so there's a little bit of a jerk forward that kind of caught me by surprise initially, but then eventually I got used to it. Also, the throttle applicator seemed a little bit stiffer than it is on my RT. My RT Limited seemed to be a little bit smoother. This one seemed to be a little stiffer. The acceleration is tremendous. I mean, it could be the acceleration is really tremendous. It's really quick and torquey. And if you get on it too much, you'll definitely lose the back end easily. It will slip away and slide and perhaps even spin. But it's a lot of fun. It's a little stiffer over the bumps also, I suspect, because of the nature of the bike and why it was created as more of a sporty option to the Can-Am line. The suspension are a little bit stiffer than on my RT. In fact, my RT feels like a Cadillac compared to the Ryker Rally, which is what I'm riding right now. The wind is definitely, you feel the wind a lot on this bike. It tosses you around much more than on my RT Limited. It's more of you like in the wind with this bike, like a sport bike, or maybe a cruiser chopper style without the windscreen. You really feel the wind in your face, in your hair, in your body. The aggressive sitting position, you leaning a little bit forward, sort of like a sport bike. Not quite as aggressive as a Suzuki GSXR or Kawasaki or Yamaha. It's not quite as aggressive as a sport bike, but it's definitely a lot more of a sportier feel than my RT Limited. What else about it? It's really nimble. the wheelbase is a little bit shorter, I think, than my RT Limited, so it turns really, 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 really nice. It's very responsive in the turning events, left and right turning events. There's not a whole lot of bells and whistles in terms of the button. There's not a radio or anything like that on this Riker, but you can also add a windscreen to it. You can add saddlebags. You can add a red trunk. I think you can add a red trunk. I'm not sure about that part. I definitely know that you can add a second seat. As you could see earlier, the owner of the dealership took down the second passenger seat so that I can take it out for a ride. For me, I don't think it replaces my RT Limited, but it will be a nice addition to it. If I just want to get out for a quick ride somewhere out in the country, you can get on this thing and really, really, really enjoy it. But I'm getting older now, and I'm more of in a touring frame of mind. So the RT Limited has much more of a comfortable ride for me, has much more storage capacity, so I can carry with me wet weather gear, and a myriad of other things that might be necessary on trips, long trips. But this is not a bike for long trip. This is more of a, like I said, run around town, pick up a few small items here and there, enjoy some quick acceleration, do some of those kind of things. And so it's not a good comparison between the RT Limited and the Riker, because they obviously serve two different functions. It's just I wanted to see what it feels like, because I've seen them around town, and I see how aggressive they look and how sporty they look, and I wanted to experience it myself. Now, after having ridden the Ryker Rally, and once I got back on the RT Limited, I realized that my RT Limited has everything that the Riker does in terms of acceleration, in terms of speed, but the throttle application, the delivery, and everything is a little bit smoother, or I should say a lot smoother. The suspension is softer, more pliable. I could get up and go with the best of them when I want to throttle, when I want to accelerate. It's just that the Riker gives you that more aggressive sport bike type feel. You know what I'm saying? It's just yeah, it's just a different feel. I mean, I'm really having a good time. I'm enjoying myself with this, and maybe I will consider I don't know. I don't know yet. So, but I'm very, very impressed. I must confess, I was a little bit nervous initially when I applied the throttle and the back end started fishtailing right away, and then when the wind hit me, I was a bit surprised as how much it affects the bike itself. How much it moves the bike around. And on the highway, it's I could see getting caught up in the wake of 18-wheelers and all of the turbulent air that will be on the highway. I could see you getting tossed around a little bit on the Rikers on the highway, going at faster speeds, 60, 70 miles an hour. I don't have any of those feelings at all with the RT. Of course, you do feel the wind, but the RT seems and feels so much more planted on the highway. The wind doesn't affect me any much. I feel more confident riding the RT on the highway. I suspect with a little bit more seat time in the Riker and getting used to how the throttle application feels and how the back tire feels on the acceleration and how nimble it feels in the corner. I suspect riding around a little bit more on this thing will give me that sense of confidence with the throttle application where I don't get myself in trouble, spin it out or anything like that. It's kind of like how it was when I had my GSXR many years ago. It was a sport bike. It was very aggressive sitting position, and if you wasn't careful with the throttle application, it could get away from you. I mean, it red line at 15,000 RPMs, I believe. I very seldom ride it hard enough to experience 15,000 RPMs before I changed the gears. But and then when I went to the Harley, the throttle was smoother than it was on a GSXR. Same thing here with the RT and the Riker. Riker seems more torquey and more aggressive. It's geared differently, whereas the RT is smoother, feels a little bit more stable under acceleration. It's not affected as much by the wind. But either way, you can't go wrong with a Can-Am. The fun factor, I think, is amazing on either one of these bikes. If you like into the sportier look, Ryker Rally. If you want to be touring and more smoother ride, more long distance riding, more storage capacity, the RT Limited. Of course, the RT Limited come with a much bigger price tag than the Riker does. And so, like I said, two different bikes for the two different types of riding, two different types of situation. So, yeah, my experience with the Can-Am Ryker Rally. I mean, I wanted to go back again for another ride. I pulled up, parked behind my RT Limited, then I started it again and was about to go for another ride. But then I decided, nah, I've done enough already, so let me come back and park it, get off of the bike, and move on with the rest of my day. Starting it is a little bit different than the RT. You obviously have to apply the brake on the right side, and then you push the throttle forward a little bit while you're pressing the on button, the start button, and that's it. This is Sebastian Fortune test riding the Can-Am Ryker Rally 900cc Can-Am. I had a lot of fun. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and tune in for more content as I continue to deliver. Thank you so much.